interesting case at the moment with a person who has a misalignment of one of the vertebrae in her neck. And I just want to show you how that can actually affect health and how it can affect function. So this here is a model of a spine, and these here are the neck bones or the neck vertebra. These here are the back parts here. You can actually feel those in the back part of your neck here, the little knobby bits at the back. Important thing to just look at here is how the structure is with regards to the disc spaces, making sure that there's space in between the joints, making sure there's enough space for these nerves to come out, and also blood vessels are running in there as well. So very important tissues to function correctly. Now, there's quite a significant so I'll just show you a picture of the X-ray that I actually have, and that can just show. That'll just show us the while I find out how to share. I'll just share our screen. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so how you can see this X-ray here of the neck vertebra. So as we see, we're looking at it that way. These are the neck vertebra, right from the very top vertebra, right down into the shoulder area. So the vertebra that is out of alignment, which has had some trauma in the past, is this one here. I'm just circling it with my cursor here. And I'll just point out the things that I'm looking at with regards to why this isn't working correctly. Now, in examination here, this can lead to weakness of muscles in the arms, definitely restriction in through the neck, because now the restriction comes from, in cases like this, it doesn't come from restriction because of that joint. That joint is restricted, but what happens is the muscles will protect or try and protect that area of the spine. So what happens is it doesn't allow the muscles to relax. So we get rotation decreases. We're not able to tilt correctly. So turning and twisting the neck isn't the brain doesn't allow the muscles to relax enough to actually do that until this vertebrae here is misaligned well, and that goes through some healing process. So I'm just going to let's compare this joint here with the one above it and the one below it. You see how the disc spaces here are a lot higher than this one here. Okay, so these are the disc spaces in between so this is the fourth vertebra here. The fifth. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a problem with the fifth one sitting on top of the sixth one. Now we see here at the back part of the joint here how it's a lot larger than, see how this one's nice and square. So that one is undergoing some minimal early onset of degeneration. So it's starting to degenerate now. So this is what happens when any of the joints are out of position or not functioning correctly. They start to degenerate. Now, why does that happen? Any joint in our body which doesn't move well or doesn't move at all. So if we splint a joint or we stop a joint from moving, whether it be a vertebra in the spine, whether it be our elbow, whether it be a finger joint, a toe joint, whatever it is, if you splint it and stop those joints from moving, they will degenerate. So movement is key. And what's happening in this joint here is it's not actually able to freely move well. So that's why it's degenerating at the back part of the joint here and also the front part of the joint. Now, there's evidence here of some trauma at this joint space here. So this ligament, this anterior ligament, which runs on the front of the neck here, actually has some calcification in it. So it's just calcifying a little bit, where it just joins between the two joints there. So that's evidence of some trauma. Now, whether it be head trauma, okay, and then these are quite common with regards to car accidents, etc., where the weight of the head is moved forcefully forward back. That has to be transferred somewhere, and there generally is a weak point somewhere within the spine. That's called whiplash, and if not assessed correctly at the time and treated correctly, or assessed for whether it's misaligned, big problems later on down the track. So sometimes we get cases where we've had accidents or head trauma or car accidents years in the past, and it hasn't been taken care of correctly, and it's just degenerated over the years. Because when the person goes through that process, so they get out of the car accident, the neck's a bit sore, and then it gets better. Okay, and then there might be just in the coming months after that, it might be a little bit of restriction from time to time, but it hasn't been investigated whether all those vertebrae are aligned correctly. So that's where a chiropractor comes in. So as we come in, we do our assessments, we see whether the vertebrae are all in the correct alignment and working well. If they're not, we want to get them in the correct alignment. We use adjustments to do that. Okay, they're quite simple, quite pain-free, very gentle. So yeah, so what we don't want is this joint space here or this disc space here to be narrowing any further. Because what actually happens is the narrower that gets, the less space that will allow for the nerves to come out of the spine. Now, in this area of the spine here, basically shoots off the nerves for what's called the brachial plexus, brachial meaning arm in Latin. So this is the main nerves which come down out of the neck, go down and form the nerves which come down into the shoulder, down into the arms. So these types of issues can, in the long term, lead to all sorts of weaknesses and problems in how the arm functions, etc. Just general function of nerve supply down into the arm. I mean, you've got to understand nerves are supplying everything from blood vessels to lymphatics. It's supplying every single muscle, tissue, healing, etc. You cut your finger, the nerve supply from the brain needs to help heal that finger. All immunity, immune system, everything is part of that. But very, very commonly, people will get things like elbow problems, carpal tunnel problems, hand problems. Basically, there can be a source up in the neck here. So I have to report to you in the future of the correction of this subluxation here and the benefits that the person actually goes through, which is quite good. But yeah, so just pointing out once again how important it is to keep all the vertebrae in the spine all aligned correctly. Make sure after any accidents they're checked, making sure that it's working correctly so that the nerves can come out of there working well. The nerve supply can be working correctly because the the reason why we have a spine the way that it is so that we can get the information from the brain to the body so that it can coordinate and help it work correctly. And the nervous system controls everything, so that's why it's so important. There you have it, a short snippet on how important it is to keep the vertebrae in the neck and also the rest of the spine aligned correctly. Have a good day. Bye for now.